We're here on your Friday afternoon to make your Friday afternoon just as fantastic as we can, make it zoom by just a little bit quicker, and you will be getting the most news, tutorials, and resources that we could round up this week in WordPress. So let's move forward and dig right in, y'all. All right, so hope everybody's having an absolutely wonderful Friday afternoon. Here in Alabama, we're actually getting a little bit of snow. The towns have shut down a bit, and like my wife is off work today for it. A lot of people are, so I hope. Oh no, am I having a connection problem today? Oh, I really am. Um, what in the world is going on? That is okay. Maybe that is fixing it right there. Hopefully that will happen. Oh no. Um, no, not at all. Okay. Why is everything messed up? I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I cannot see anything moving. I am freezing. Guys, I will be back momentarily as I try to fix this. All right, guys. Let's see if this is any better for you, for all of us. Hopefully, it will be as we move forward a little bit now. I was looking at the comments as I came back, and no, Uncle Social, it's not Steam downloads that those are done. I actually had to check and see if anything was if anything was downloading on anything in the house, and it wasn't. So hopefully this is working right now a little bit better. It looks like it is on my end. How are you guys? Are you able to hear me and see me and do everything now? Everything okay? Awesome. I'm seeing it on both sides now. I am so terribly sorry about that, y'all. I really have no idea what it was. It may be the potato router. That's what we get for investing in a potato, using a vegetable instead of a modem. So anyway, you guys, like I was saying, this is obviously the This Week in WordPress, and apparently it is a week in WordPress, y'all. So hopefully y'all's Friday is going a little bit better than the internet showed on mine here. So let us know in the comments. One of the big things that's been going really well every week is being able to share what's going on in your week in WordPress. So just let me know in the comments. Let's talk about it and see everything. Share, talk amongst yourselves and with me about it. It is showing a little choppy right now for the connection here. It could potentially be weather. I don't have any idea why weather would do it, but I know it does. But hopefully we'll be able to get through this. So let's let's move forward a little bit at least. The first thing in the news section that I saw this week that I thought was absolutely awesome was that they were posting this in Slack this morning that we saw. It was who is leading the WordPress theme market right now, and it was Code NWP that posted this showing who was the top theme marketplaces, and guess who's on top, y'all? We are very excited that we are the #1 ranked theme marketplace in WordPress, and we were fantastically excited to see that. And I wanted you guys to know how thankful we are to you for putting us there, for letting us help you and work on with you on your careers, and that you trusted us for that. So we were #1, but really what that means is that you guys were #1. Hi everybody in the comments. I've got a couple of hellos. Hi Miguel. So I wanted to also to let you know that I saw a video this morning that was shared that this isn't necessarily WordPress related, but it is definitely going to impact everybody who deals with WordPress. And it's that Facebook announced yesterday that they are moving forward with the Pages newsfeed changes that they were working on, and they're going to be prioritizing human interaction. So they were talking about making sure that people talking with other people was what was important, that you will see more things in your timelines from your friends and your family to garner long form conversation. I'm really hesitant about this change. Obviously, I mean, I'm live on a page right now that shows up in your news feed. So a lot of us are marketers, and a lot of us deal with these kinds of social changes every day. And this one's going to be pretty big. It's gonna be, honestly, and I'm not putting this on you guys, but it's gonna be up to you on how all of the pages that you like succeed, because it's interacting with each other on those pages. So if you like each other and you want to keep seeing the stuff that you see right now, it's going to be talking in the comments and having real discussions and marking that you want to see everything that the pages you like first. So you can click up there on Elegant Themes and get see first, and it'll always show up. So a little bit of self promotion there. We have a comment on YouTube that I wanted to answer, whether or not you can buy our themes and be a member for Bitcoin, and whether we accept cryptocurrency. Not right now, we don't, Masai. I love the idea of doing that. That is not in my hands, though. Cryptocurrency is really huge right now. We published an article today, actually, I think, or maybe it was yesterday, about taking cryptocurrency on your WordPress sites for payment, and the pros and cons there. And we'll have another couple of cryptocurrency articles coming up. So we are looking at things where we are aware of how important it is, but we do not at the moment. And let me see, someone else, when showing clients options for a project, do you Photoshop it or make 3 home pages using Divi? John in Facebook asked that, and I personally make home pages using Divi because I'm better at that. I know a lot of people who use Facebook mockups and a program called Sketch, so it really depends on what you're better at. And Derek in Facebook asked, what would cause images to not upload properly? I get no areas, just a gray box. It does show broken images on the front, and already checked PHP limits. I don't know. The PHP limit was one that I'd thought about. That's my first go-to. Someone in the comments may be able to do that, because every single time I've had that issue, it has been PHP limits. I take that back. Also, I had saved it incorrectly when I encoded the image in Photoshop and exported it. I'd saved it as a really wacky version of a JPEG and had to resave it that way. So that could also happen, Derek. So hopefully you'll be able to find that, and somebody else in the comments may be able to help you. That was on Facebook, those last two, you guys. Moving forward right now, the news, we published this today, and I'm really, really excited about it. Our content manager, Nathan B. Weller, put out an Elegant Themes year in review. And I love end of year and beginning of year reviews. That these are articles that I just absolutely love talking about. I love reading them. I love seeing all of them. And this one was everything. Like, it's absolutely crazy how much happened at the Elegant Themes, on the Elegant Themes blog and as a company this year. We talked about hiring all sorts of new people. Jason in the comments is there. He's new this year. Donietta, who a lot of you guys have seen, and me, we're all new hires on the content team this year. And on top of that, just the number of memberships and page views and just everything, subscriptions, has been amazing because of you guys. If you haven't checked the website lately, if you haven't checked the blog today to read that, we have lists on there of all of the Divi updates that came out this year, in case you guys wanted to see something or miss something that, can add to your career, your livelihood, and just make your life a little bit easier. If you want to download any of our awesome layout packs that you may have missed, those are all linked in there, and it's just got stats. So I mean, I was super impressed when Nathan published this, and that you guys, 20.1 million of you guys looked at the blog this year. That just blows my mind. I was so excited about that, to see it in the post this morning, and it made me just give you guys, like, I just want to give you all just a really big old hug. Like, that's what it is. So go check that out. The link is in the description, as is every last thing that we talk about today and more. Those are in the description of this video on both YouTube and Facebook, so you can click and give love to everybody who puts out all of this wonderful content that we talk about every Friday. For those of you who are just joining us, who are just tuning in, this is the This Week in WordPress stream, where we talk about every Friday afternoon all of the news, tutorials, and resources that were really pushed out that week in the WordPress blogosphere, everything, everywhere. And we want to make sure that this is a show for you and about you. So whatever you've been doing this week in WordPress, share it in the comments. Let's talk about it. I'm watching the comments, and then we also have some staff members around to answer questions, and the community in these comments are just great, you guys. So ask questions, talk, let's be friends. So moving forward in the news, I thought it was really interesting to look at WP Lift did a really cool 2018 prediction post. And again, I love these beginning of year and end of year posts that we see. And this one was really, really fun because it kind of hit on the stuff that I think about a lot. With Gutenberg coming up in April is what they've said. That's when they're actually pushing it. the WP Lift has their first prediction as being that new WordPress users are going to love Gutenberg, and I think that's the case. That a lot of us are old crotchety WordPressers who are like, "Oh, give me the tiny MCE," and we're kind of hesitant and resistant to it. Or actually, we're more like, "Give me Divi," and but new users are going to be just super happy about this. They're the ones who are using Squarespace and Wix, and Gutenberg is going to give them the feel that they want as they first come into WordPress. So they're going to be talking about that developers are pushing the limits of the customizer. I've already found myself using that a lot more this year myself, and that's not going to change. I agree with them. You guys are probably doing the same thing, using the customizer, and I use it in concert with the visual builder personally. So that's interesting. It's going to hit almost a third mark for website usage. We hit 29.3 this year, and if we keep the same rate, we're going to be almost at 33.3 and not quite there. And one of the other ones that they were talking about is that we are going to get some security updates, and that is going to be absolutely imperative that we have those security updates. WordPress is absolutely secure. Tell all your clients that they could not have picked really a more secure platform because of the community around it, but because of its popularity, people are going to be looking for exploits. But all the plugins, all of the people out there from Securi and WordFence and iThemes and just everywhere, they're going to keep us safe more than anything else, as well as the core team who are constantly developing security updates and patching them in WordPress. There's been a lot of comments, so let me look at that one. Uncle Social says that a lot of younger people are steering clear of Facebook, which is true because it's not cool, and because parents are on it. I have seen that. There's actually an article down in the resources, I think is where I put it. No, it's under the tutorials on how to design friction for a user experience. And one of the things that they talk about is specifically designing for your target audience. And Snapchat made it purposefully obtuse for older people who are used to Facebook, so that they couldn't use Snapchat to embarrass their kids. It was a really cool article that is under the tutorial section of this that I think you guys should check out. But you're absolutely right in the comments here is that it depends on who the target audience is. Instagram, Snapchat's where millennials are. Current Media Group is saying that millennials don't want to use Facebook, and Facebook's huge and businesses really need to have a presence there. You're right, and that's where the issue comes in. Like, I know we get a lot of referrals from Facebook, that we have a lot of people talking to us on Facebook and sending messages, so not being seen is something that concerns me, and I'm not the one who handles that. It concerns me for the pages I run as well. So it's something that we all need to be thinking about with those changes. Uncle Social says he's 34 and doesn't want to use Facebook. I'm the same way. I turned 35 earlier this week, and I don't want to use Facebook either. I don't use it. It's there for people to tag me in photos and to do things like this with pages. So we'll see how it is. I would rather talk to people on the internet than the people I know. I mean, I'd talk to them in real life, right? And then talking. Is it possible to use the Amazon link builder from within the Divi editor? I've never done that, Nick. Traveler Nick asked that. If you somebody else might have within the Divi editor, I always use the Amazon site strip. So I've never used it with anything like that within the Divi builder. Hopefully someone else has to tell you if that works or how it works. So moving forward into the rest of the news, we were talking about Gutenberg a little bit. I thought that it was really worth mentioning that today, the 12th of January, 2018, we got Gutenberg version 2.0 that we have moved since I did the first This Week in WordPress. We were on 0.6 of Gutenberg, and we are now at 2.0 moving into this year, and they put a lot of stuff in there. I've updated it on my sites. I have not been able to touch it yet. I've not been able to play with any of this new stuff, but there is a list. If you look in the news section in the description, you'll see the link with all of the major amounts of bullet points that they really did put into 2.0 of Gutenberg here. Some of them, are replacing publish drop-downs with sidebar panels, which is really important because I hated that publish thing. Dragging and dropping images for galleries, block controls at the bottom of a block, descriptions in the sidebar, displaying notices, renaming some UI stuff. There's stuff like that. And then the only one that really made me truly happy to see when they did this was that there is a button to copy the entire post. Y'all, I don't know if you're like me, but I copy so many things, so many entire posts over and over again just because I don't trust things that save. So Gutenberg really irritated me earlier because copying everything copied a lot of the codes that they use as well. So being able to copy the full document with one button is really awesome. Really appreciate that. We'll see how it keeps moving on, but we did get a major update to Gutenberg today. So go update your stuff and try to try it out and see if there's anything there that you like. Let's see comments. Nope, people are good. Thank you, thank you, Uncle Social, for the happy birthday. So moving forward in the news, and then additionally, even though 2.0 of Gutenberg came out today, it's not the only dev update that happened. They did update the WP Core notes in the dev meetings this week to what they're calling the Serve Happy roadmap, and it's basically a way. It's a complicated way of them saying that they're going to be breadcrumbing people to upgrade their PHP. We've already seen this happen a little bit in the plugin repository when they're looking at new plugins. It'll say this plugin requires PHP 5.3.x and you're running 5.2. whatever, and you have to upgrade. It's more stuff like that. So as we move forward, it's really a way to get servers and web hosts to update the PHP versions that we're running, and so that we keep everything up to date, running smoothly, and really making the best experience for everybody on WordPress that we can. So that's a good thing, even though calling it Serve Happy is, I don't know, it's kind of fun, but it doesn't really tell what it is. Excuse me, sorry about that. No, Uncle Social. You're not alone in using your clipboard to back up forms. I back up everything. I even have Atom documents in other windows that I paste everything into. I'm crazy about losing things. I've heard that the potato router is coming in again. Hopefully that is still going. It's not showing anything on my end as far as having bad connection. So, well, speaking of potato buffer, that is a good time to buffer between the sections of our stream today. You like that segue? If you have just joined us or just tuning in, this is the This Week in WordPress stream where we talk about news, tutorials, and resources that have been published this week in WordPress. Go figure. And we've just finished up with the news and are moving into the tutorial section. So if you've missed any of that, this stream will be available on the YouTube and Facebook pages where you're probably watching it right now. I assume that's where you're watching it because that's where we're broadcasting, but you'll be able to see that after the stream ends and go back to the beginning. You can also check out any of the links that I talk about in the description. Follow along. I suppose the teacher in me is still doing that, but you can follow along, or you can read a lot of the ones that I'm not going to have time to talk about today. So check out all of that. Give everybody love who's putting out this content. So let's see. Oh, no, I just saw in the comments that you've lost me again. I do not know what is going on. Showing stream health as being good on my end. I'm so sorry, y'all. I will move forward and see if you can see me now. There is at the beginning, at the top of our tutorial section, we have a how to fix error too many redirects on your WordPress website. This is one of the biggest errors that I get on there. I've seen a lot, and being able to go through and break it down is great. Kinsta has a lot of different fixes for when you have too many redirects. Clearing cookies, deleting your cache, clearing your cache and deleting your cookies, rather. Strike that, flip it, reverse it. You need to check your HTTPS settings. This is what happens to me. I recently went through, updated all of my sites to HTTPS, and then I enabled Cloudflare, and all of a sudden everything was getting too many redirects. The issue was forcing HTTPS, and things weren't set up correctly with the certificate, and I eventually got it all worked out with the CDN. But if you see that and you've just made those changes, because I knew that was the only change I'd made recently, so that's where my problem had come in. So if you've had those issues, check out the Kinsta link under tutorials so that you see what all you might be able to use to fix that. I hate that you guys may have to deal with that, because it's a true pain to try to troubleshoot. Like I'd mentioned a little bit earlier under tutorials, I wrote an article and we published this week called Bitcoin and WordPress, why and how to take cryptocurrency payments. I think this is really important. We touched on cryptocurrencies earlier, and if you're interested in taking crypto on your e-commerce sites, there are a couple of ways in this article under the tutorial section for you to be able to implement. Someone in the comments mentioned that Stripe is now straight up accepting Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and that's awesome. I was not aware of that when I wrote it, so there are a couple of other options. I think that this is something that we all need to be aware of, that we all need to take advantage of as we can. I've recently invested a little bit into cryptocurrencies and Ethereum in particular, and I love the idea of it. I personally look at it more as an investment rather than a currency I'm going to buy things with, because it's so volatile right now. It's something where taking it as a payment could be something that can make you a lot of money, that if someone gives you 0.0003 Bitcoin today for something that might be worth $200, tomorrow you might hit a spike that you could sell it for $700 or more. I mean, it's just crazy. Or it could also be worth $3 tomorrow. You never know when you're taking cryptocurrency what the true value is going to be in the exchanges, but if you're willing to play a little bit of a gamble with your e-commerce store, maybe you can do it. I mean, I know a lot of people who have bought Teslas with their with Bitcoin. So there's that. I'd also mentioned earlier when we talked, the third one down in the tutorial section is designing friction for better user experience. And I think this is something that, like I said, I just barely touched on it earlier. It's interesting that you want to slow your users down as they use your product. So, like, it was talking about preventing your users from ordering too quickly. Like, if I were to say, Alexa, order me a bacon cheeseburger, it would not order it immediately and would then verify that I wanted to order it. Would you really like a bacon cheeseburger? I don't have an Alexa, so I have no idea how the verification actually happens. But the same thing happens when you try to transfer money in an online bank. It's like, do you really want to make this transfer? Those are friction. That's friction. Those are things that they've put into the user experience to slow everything down just enough so that you make good decisions. I'd mentioned earlier about Snapchat and Facebook, that Snapchat purposefully makes their app harder to use for people who are used to other social networks. That's friction. I mean, that is designed friction. And then it talks about friction that is not good when you can when something happens and no one can figure out what's going on, that you have too many clicks where you have to click on 5 different things just to change a single setting. That's friction that can be improved in some way. It's a really long article. It's really fun, and it talks a lot about behavioral science on making sure that people see value in what you do by you giving them false friction. Like it talks about Coinstar being people thinking that it is not doing its job because it does it too well. Those coin counting machines slow everything down and put an artificial delay on it so that people thought it was counting their money more carefully. It's really interesting to look at, and if you're into UX like I am, I really love the idea of user experience and how people feel and how they use your products and our products. It's a really, really cool one when you're looking at design. So thinking about how to make your users' lives just a little bit harder, and by making it harder, you make it better. They actually use the metaphor early on about game design, where if a video game is too easy, you kind of bounce off of it, that when you put in just the right amount of challenge, people tend to want to overcome that and get further on in the game. It's why things like Dark Souls are so popular among gamers. And I'm not a Dark Souls fan, but for those of you who are, it's coming to the Switch. I just saw yesterday that with the Nintendo Direct Mini they put out that the Switch is getting Dark Souls remastered. So for those of you who are Dark Souls fans, there's some news for you. Jason says software accounts for it because users aren't used to immediate action when clicking a button. They add buffering on purpose. Yeah, I mean, when you're adding, it was talking about Facebook in the article where it has artificial load times. And then because some things you want it to feel like it's taking longer for security purposes because we just can't understand milliseconds with our the meat computers in our heads. So we don't understand milliseconds very well. So it's really crazy. It was talking a little bit, I think it was a Samsung phone, I can't remember exactly what it was, who read your iris too quickly for you to log in, that they artificially slowed it down. It's crazy stuff. I love that kind of UX and behavioral stuff coming in. Wanted to point out that TorqueMag did a really cool article where Matt Cromwell is talking with Josh Pollock about using Help Scout is the plugin that they're using, the program that they're using for this, but it's really any kind of support plugin on making sure that you can give your customers the best support that you can. It's a really good discussion on providing support to your customers. It's a how-to in the way that you need to know how to set this up and do it. So check that out. Just read it. I cannot summarize it nearly as well as Matt and Josh do. So look into that and provide the support that you've always wanted to provide. So that's really good. Let me do the reset once again for anyone who is just joining in. I wanted to let you know that you're watching the This Week in WordPress stream for January 6th to January 12th, 2018. And we are talking about the tutorials that came out this week for you. You can check out all of the links to this in the description of the video that you are currently watching. So speaking of tutorials, I think this may be the most important one in the entire section is Yoast Publishing, how to use Yoast SEO, the readability analysis. I may have mentioned this before, but when I first started working here at Elegant Themes, I was told, we need to use Yoast. We need to make sure that everything is SEO compliant, that it's working. And I had never paid any attention to readability because my thought was, as an English teacher, I know how to make my stuff readable, right? I've been doing this consistently for like the last, decade, 15 years. And it turns out I didn't know what I was doing even a little bit, y'all. And I've had to learn how to use the readability analysis. It was very, very hard for me to check how they, to get used to what they were looking for. it talks about in this article using transition words and how you begin your sentences. Do so many of our sentences begin the same word? The way that I write, my style is very I can't even think of the word now, where it's repetitive and alliterative, and I want you to know this, I want you to know that, I want you to feel this, I want you to do this, and using I so many times in a row negatively impacts my readability scores. So every single time I write an article, I have to go back and fix that in a couple of places. My wife did do that. Jason, I told you my wife was going to bother me during this stream like she did last week. Yes, Jennifer, you can come get the car keys. That was in Facebook, you guys. So they also talk about the Fleisch reading ease test, which most of the time that basically just tells essentially what grade level you're writing on. It talks about paragraph length because you don't want to hit people with walls of text, sentence length, and using passive voice. Basically everything that I, as an English teacher, would get on to my students for in a composition class, that's what the Yoast readability plugin does. So I really think that you guys should look through this, because should all bullets be green? That's the biggest part of it, and it's no, not every bullet has to be green, and they explain why. But because I am and here's my wife. She is grabbing the keys. They're right there. This feels like that this feels like that one video where the child comes in, and yep, there's my dog. She's saying hello to you guys too. So eventually I'm just gonna have a child coming in. I don't have kids, and it's gonna be weird because they're gonna come in. There's gonna be somebody pulling the door and creeping in, but nowhere. All right. But all the bullets don't have to be green on Yoast SEO, you guys. You want a green bullet overall, is what they say. You want them to be able to read and understand the content, and that's the entire purpose of this. So read through this article that Yoast put out, because the readability analysis can take a little while to get used to. If nothing else, it is the one I spend the most time on with every single article I write, making sure that I get as green as possible through there. So, I saw in the Facebook comments just now as I'm finishing that up that Jason says something my wife would do. I would just threaten to turn the camera on her. I thought about doing that, but I figured I would be nice and try to continue on as much as I could. But there was something in the room, so I got all confused. I thought about grabbing the camera up here and just turning it around, but then you would see the mess in my office too, instead of just my Spider-Man lamp that you guys talk about. So one of the other tutorials I really wanted to mention this week was going back to Gutenberg. It's coming up on us, guys. This is the 12th of January, and we got 2.0 today, and we're running out of updates before they start pushing this to the public. So Zach Gordon, who I don't know if you know Zach Gordon, but he has done a lot of tutorials and courses on WordPress across lots of different platforms. I learned about him during Treehouse. I did a Treehouse membership a while last year, and he did some of the WordPress courses that were refreshing me as I moved into freelancing. And he is recently, just this week, he is putting out a Gutenberg development course. The reason that I'm including this is because this is not a how to use Gutenberg. It's not a what all these blocks do. It is how to take advantage of blocks in your plugins. It's how to specifically deal with all of the hooks and the shortcodes and everything that you're going to be dealing with. It has 30 videos. It has example block support forums and a Slack channel that you can get involved in. So if you haven't started already developing your plugins and themes to take advantage of Gutenberg, this is honestly a pretty good way to do it. It's going to take some time for all of us to learn what we're doing and how to really take advantage of Gutenberg, but I think that looking at the WP Tavern link for all of the information is a good place to start here, and it's at the end of the tutorial section on the description of the video here. I think that it is also very important to look at who is teaching it, because Zach knows what he's talking about. Zach is someone who, having taken his courses before, I can say that I haven't taken this one, I don't know, but the fact that we're getting really major players in the e-learning part of the WordPress sphere, the WordPress industry doing this is pretty indicative of the state of Gutenberg right now, that it's safe to assume that we're close to what it's going to look somewhat like at the end. So for those of you who are just joining us, I just finished up all the tutorials that I was going to go through, and I wanted to talk about some of these resources with y'all. This is a good opportunity that if you have anything going on in your own week in WordPress, throw it in the comments, throw it in the chat on YouTube or on Facebook, and let us know what your week in WordPress looks like. Show us the projects that you've been working on this week, any kind of frustrations you've had, any wins that you've got. Let us know. So do that. So moving into the resources section here, I thought that I should also bring up, since we do this on Facebook, the 13 awesome WordPress Facebook groups to boost your knowledge. These are great, y'all. I spend so much time in Facebook groups on WordPress. Nope, strike that, flip it, reverse it. In WordPress groups on Facebook, that it's crazy. Like when we were talking about the changes to Facebook recently, I'm really hoping that it doesn't change the interactions that I have with these groups, because that's what a lot of my newsfeed consists of. They have a lot of different knowledge level groups as well. I mean, there's WordPress help for beginners, there's intermediate WordPress, and then there's advanced WordPress, and each of those are absolutely wonderful. I spend time in specifically intermediate and advanced WordPress because I didn't know about the beginners one until I saw this article, so I've requested a join on that one now. There's a lot of good stuff. I've had to ask questions in there. I've answered questions in these. That it is, if you're wanting to know what's going on in people's everyday lives with WordPress, you can see in these groups that, especially intermediate and advanced WordPress, like I said, I see a lot of stuff on there. It goes from CSS and HTML issues to marketing issues, all the way to, what's up with this line of PHP that's not working. It's great. And if you haven't joined any of those, even if you're not on Facebook much, because I'm not on Facebook much, these are well worth your time in joining. They were actually the biggest thing when I went to my very first WordCamp last year, WordCamp Nashville, Tennessee. Not WordCamp US this year, but WordCamp Nashville last year. The advanced WordPress group was recommended to me by pretty much everybody I talked to about beginning my freelance career. So that was something that that you should check out. Outside of those three, the beginners, intermediate, and advanced WordPress groups, and these have thousands of members. I mean, the advanced WordPress group has 30,000 members in it. So that's something that I think that sells them a little bit. They talk about WordPress Speed Up, which I only recently joined. I only found out about when it was recommended because I knew people in it. I've joined it. It's awesome, so that you can get them. The purpose of this group is to help you speed up your sites. So it's great. We're all trying to shave those milliseconds off, and talk about WordPress plugin suggestions and hosting, and great stuff there. I also thought that I should let you know that there are groups out there specifically for you guys and by you guys for Divi. It talks about Divi theme users, which is a big one that we spend a lot of time in individually. I know we post some of our stuff in some of these. There's Divi web designers. There's Divi theme users and Elegant Marketplace. There is Divi and Extra Theme. There's all sorts of them on there. If you just search for Divi, you'll get it, or Elegant Themes. They will show up. And they mention the Divi theme users when they're. It's awesome. So So you can check that out. The WooCommerce Help and Share one is great. And then they also have stuff for Elementor and Beaver Builder and Genesis as well, if you're a user of any of those. But you've got Divi. That's what you love. But really, we all use different things for different clients, and we pick up clients who use other stuff. So I've used Xtheme and Beaver Builder and Elementor for different clients, and these groups are invaluable. But I'm obviously in Divi ones more than anything else, so you guys can find a lot of those. We had a comment about which WordPress framework is the best, and I'm honestly going to say Divi. I've moved through a lot of them, Moxit, and this is not because I'm employed by Elegant Themes and I'm on their channel right now. I honestly switched over to using Divi before I was hired here, moving from Thesis and Ultimatum and Visual Composer, which are great. All of them are great. They do wonderful things, but I ended up moving to Divi for it worked for me the best. So I gotta say Divi, because even outside of working here, I was using it. I was using it on my own, so I gotta say it's the best outside of working here, and gotta say it's the best. But I do think you guys may agree with me. If anybody else has any suggestions or anything like that, or how to use the framework to make it the best, and the YouTube chat right now is that's going on. I really want to talk about this, you guys. This one at the bottom where it's conditions for Gutenberg success. One thing the reason I wanted to talk about this, I don't want to harp on Gutenberg. I've said before over and over again, I don't want this to be the Gutenberg show. But what I want to talk about is that when you click through and you go to Morton's, Morten.com, it's Morten Rand Hendrickson. Had to wait out to low because I could not remember. He's big into Gutenberg, but he has 3 things that will basically conditions on it succeeding. One's accessibility. 2 is ramp up time, which we all agree with and know. And then it's the third one that I want to talk to you guys about, making a clean fork of WordPress at 5.0. He talks a lot about making 5.0 a fork on GitHub using 2 separate development lines of development there for a Gutenberg and a non-Gutenberg version. He talks about having a WordPress Classic versus WordPress, which is where 5.0 would go, and I am not a fan of that personally. I just want to know what you think about it, because as a dude, as BJ, I don't like the idea of having to work with clients on 2 separate sides of WordPress, because we already have a divided community enough when we have to explain WordPress.com and WordPress.org to people, and being able to explain WordPress.com, WordPress Classic, and then WordPress to people, I think is going to get very confusing. I don't think that would be a condition of Gutenberg success. I think honestly, by saying that Gutenberg needing that kind of thing is more of an indication that it's not something that needs to be in core, and needs to have more discussion on it, which I'm not necessarily saying. I think that there are good things. I'm using it to write my blogs right now just to get used to it. At least my personal blogs. I'm not doing it for Elegant Themes. But when I'm writing something else, I'm using it just to get used to it. And it's fine for what it is. Like I said earlier, new WordPress users are going to get a lot out of it. So it's something that I think is very interesting to look at. So check that link out. There's also a link at the very bottom of big blunders in WordPress and how to prevent them. This is the last thing I want to touch on just very briefly, because the stream does seem to keep dropping today for some reason. On my end, I'm seeing it clear. It's not for everybody, and now it's doing it again. So I'm on Ethernet and everything, you guys. I don't understand. I even got sorry about net neutrality speed boost from Comcast. I don't know. So the big blunders in WordPress and how to prevent them. It's basically a checklist of, make sure you change your permalinks first. Don't block search engines, showing stuff like that. Please, talking about ignoring SEO plugins, not securing your WordPress site, and not optimizing. It's a really good read through of things that you should be looking at every week. Not every week, every single time you go and make a new WordPress site. That said, you guys, we're having enough stream issues right now that I'm going to go ahead and call it. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic Friday. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for dealing with this stream issue. I have no idea what's up, but I will do everything within my power to make sure that it does again. I will see you next Friday, as I do every single Friday, at 2 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern, and I believe 7 p.m. UTC, Uncle Social. I think that's what you told me. And I will be here every week doing this. So your homework, you guys, is to do something this week with WordPress and let me know about it next week. Our next live stream happens at 6 a.m. Eastern on Monday morning with Augustine Mack and the Divi feature release. He is going to go over all of the features that were released and walk you through every bit of them. So y'all, I'm sorry about the buffering. I don't know what's going on, but I will work on fixing that as quickly as humanly possible. And by as quickly, I mean by next Friday. I hope you guys have a fantastic Friday, and I will see you guys later.